Oh, welcome everyone to the Big Ideas Podcast. We are the podcast where three co-hosts rotate roles to explore real conversations, meaningful ideas, and the decisions that shape our lives. I am Mark Steiner. I am a father, partner, mate, an entrepreneur, an actor, artist, and creator. I'm co-founder and CEO of Gig Salad, and I'm one of these three co-hosts. There's
Hey,
also
I
I'm
am
just
Justin Gabas.
oh, look at us.
I
we're
know.
professionals.
Ladies first. Ladies
There
first.
you go.
Ladies first.
I'm Jessica Broadway, coach, author, speaker. I'm an integrative growth and grief specialist as well. I love all things creative, especially helping people solve their people problems. And I'm a co-host on Big Ideas.
Where are you at, Jessica? What are you doing? What's your POV?
I'm going to give you an emotional POV today, not a physical POV. I am stuck in between letting go and holding on. This is the end of the year and everything is wrapping up. Kids are moving on, growing up and transitioning, and it's all feeling very real. We're about to start our senior year, so I'm a little in my feels this week.
Okay. In what proximity
Oh,
of
in my physical location is Nixa, Missouri, in my home office.
all right.
Okay.
Who are you? Who are you, other guy?
This other guy over here is Justin Gabasi, who is a human optimization coach, currently a world traveler, co-host here on this amazing podcast, Big Ideas, with my two great friends that are fantastic professional, all kinds of stuff. And I'm studying how culture, human connection intersect across different societies, health, all kinds of cool practices, other ways that people around the globe are connecting with each other. And I have been in 4 different countries. I'm currently in Thailand right now, which makes number 5. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's what's up with me, man.
It's good to be joining you two. I'm in Springfield, Mo, in very close proximity, like one block, 100 yards as the crow flies from Al Roker right now. Yep, the weatherman and the Today Show, which is camped out
Whoa.
over at the corner of Jefferson and St. Louis. Because it's a celebration of the birthplace of Route 66, everyone. And
big stuff this week.
Really is.
Isn't John Goodman's going to be popping in over there too, right?
Here. Yep. Yeah,
Wow.
it's great.
Man, thanks for taking your time because it's like a 2-minute walk, I think, for you, and you could be over there rubbing elbows with, some other celebs.
Well, you're welcome, because you two are the only celebs that I need to be spending any time with.
I feel so chosen and special.
You should.
Me too.
You should. Well, speaking of chosen celebrities, those we admire and icons, today's topic is about heroes and heroines, or heroines. And what does that mean exactly? And I will tell you that I've been struggling with this for the past 6 hours. I got up at 3:00 this morning, in part fretting that I was, not going to be able to get to my office because of what was going on downtown. But I think it was actually my mind was racing about, do I still want to talk about this? Do I even know exactly what I want to talk about? Do I have heroes that I can refer to in my life? Frankly, because I believe there's been some cynicism, especially in recent times, because of social media and the fact that just humans are under a microscope, and the things that used to be you could possibly hide are now on full display always. And you can have people that you've looked up to in life, and then all of a sudden you find out, oh no, what? They did that? They're what? They what? Oh, that's oh gosh. What does that mean? What does that say about me? I looked up to this person at one point and on and on. And so I first think it's important to define exactly what a hero is. And by that we'll know what it isn't, right? So a hero is a person admired for courage, outstanding achievements, noble qualities, or someone who risks themselves to help others. So they are often characterized by selflessness, empathy, and commitment to making the community better, sometimes acting as role models or protectors. Modern heroes range from everyday helpers to legendary figures. So we've had this bantered around, right? Oh, Willie Mays is a hero. Joe DiMaggio is a hero. Um, Tom Brady is a hero. Sports figures, heroes. Movie stars are heroes, but is it really? Like what is that? And I think too often, like, to idolize someone, we think they're a hero to us, or young people look up to these people as that's what they aspire for because they see somebody famous or rich or popular, et cetera, et cetera. And so I want us to, just as we talk today, be able to distinguish between, let's say exactly what we say and be able to differentiate, if you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to you guys to sort of take it from here, but keep in mind, like, courage was mentioned in that description. And I think then there's bravery was within that description of being a hero. But I'll just say, who have been some of your heroes, guys? Who have been people that you've looked up to throughout your life? They could be famous, they could be neighbors or friends. Go, let's talk.
I think the early stages of my life, I had a hard time connecting to like famous people as being a hero. Just for me, I grew up in two different cultures. And so the things that I thought were like, or people I liked in like Hollywood, things like that in Britain, and then I come here, nobody knows who they are, so they're not a hero, And so I think there's some sort of like social agreement that takes place as well when lifting somebody up, that there's just more than you that thinks they are. But then I think on a personal level, we are around everyday heroes. The things that those qualities that you said, I would say both of you are heroes. You exhibit that hero persona in that way. You talk about being brave and courage. And for me, the difference between bravery and courage, if those are defining qualities of what makes someone a hero, that would be I'm brave enough to do the internal work, and then I have the courage to allow that work to be exhibited in my actions and behaviors, and I have action behind who I am, right? I have integrity and authenticity. So I look at people that I do everyday life with because it doesn't matter to me who's in the high levels of leadership or who's on the screen for that week and who's the flavor of the week. It matters to me the people that I'm building a community with. Like, who can I trust at the end of the day? Who's going to be selfless? Who's going to be pouring into me? And I especially saw this grandizement or double standard, if you will, for people of faith. Like, people say Christians are hypocrites a lot because you go to church, you read your Bible, and then they come to learn a flaw about the person and then use it as additional label to them. You see church leaders that are human beings too. They struggle as well. I recognize the responsibility to be above reproach, to do better, lead better. But in the end of the day, we all still put our pants on the same way, one leg at a time in the morning, right? So I don't know. I'm kind of the breed of everyday heroes, like seeing the extraordinary and the ordinary. That's more my flavor for who are heroes and heroines. because those are the people that affect my life on a daily basis.
So what I'm hearing is it's more, there's anybody can have heroic type qualities, and that may or may not make them a hero, or at least they demonstrate that they have it within them to be
Yeah,
living a heroic life. Is that
anybody
right?
can be a hero. I don't think that you have to
Right.
have, I think it's about the characteristics you embody versus the thing, the credentials that you have, or,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
to a 2-year-old, their big brother is their hero. Well, that kid hasn't done anything but modeled, you know what I'm saying? So it's like there's this duality to it, that it's more about who you are than necessarily what you've done, and it's up to the person looking up to you to define whether you're the hero to them or not. Like, it's, I guess you can't define that for yourself. You can't say I'm the hero. Like, it's something that people lift you up to in their own mind.
Yeah. Justin, do you have heroes?
This is something I shouldn't say the word's not struggle, but this is something I've been mindful of since I was a kid, because at first, we're presented with these ideas, people on cartoons and things like that, or maybe,
Mm.
maybe our parents or guardians, or uh, like you said, Jessica, church leaders or anything like that. And I, at a very young age, I'm pretty, I think, compassionate and empathetic, and also really trying not to be judgmental. But I think I've spent most of my life trying to find role models to look up to. And I think there's been, I don't know if that's one and the same. You call hero to me, that's like somebody I actually want to look up to and respect and maybe follow their lifestyle, their habits and things like that. And man, I got to tell you, I haven't found, especially in the traditional sense, any leadership that I put in that role. Quite the contrary in a lot of cases. So one thing I'm trying to do in my own life is take nuggets from the people I do look up to. There's some authors, there's some podcasters, I've had a couple of people come into my life that were really instrumental at different times. And at that time, they were my hero. They were my role model. And maybe they weren't perfect. None of us are perfect, right? But they brought value and they brought authenticity and effort to me in some way that was really beneficial, And so I think I've had, along my life timeline, I've had different role models, different heroes. And you brought up a good point, Mark. It's like, then you find out that they're imperfect, and you have to realize that, again, if they're human, nobody's perfect. So then you're like, well, they really served me in a major way, this particular chapter of my life, in spite of their imperfections,
Right.
But I working with you guys on this podcast and just anything I'm trying to do in my life and the risks that I take and stuff is an attempt to prove to myself or become the kind of person that I would hopefully one day want to follow, you know what I mean? And even, of course, that that takes on forgiveness, self-forgiveness, forgiveness of others. But it's a moving target for me, man. I mean, there's people, I could name drop some people, like one guy I've really enjoyed following for a long time is Tim Ferriss. I think he's a great author. I really like what he stands for. I like his vulnerability, his authenticity on his podcast. I like the way that he handles himself and people. And there's a host of others. I mean, I've had a couple coaches that were my heroes at that time, Coach Phil Yant from Stratford. I mean, that guy was really instrumental. I mean, there's a bunch of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. What are some of the qualities for you specifically that are the things that either as as a younger version of yourself you looked up to and kind of aspired to, and you know characteristics, personality traits. What would you describe as a hero to you? What makes a hero?
Yeah. For me, the first ingredient is somebody that walks the talk. Like they're actually their embodiment of whatever they're preaching, coaching, teaching. You mentioned in the definition, I think, kindness to others. That's always been big. So people that play favorites, they lose favor quickly with me. If they're trying to bring everyone up, not just specific people, pet projects and stuff like that. And I know this could vary from person to person, but I have kind of my own goals for my moral and ethical set point, like what I'm trying to attain for myself. And so I look for people that hold themselves in a certain way also. Again, the main thing being kind to themselves, being kind to others, walking the walk again, or walking the talk rather.
That's good. Jessica.
I have two parts to this. So hang with me while my brain sorts out which one goes first. Recently, my son's colonel for his JROTC program resigned. And that is someone who's been a role model to him, he's moving on to another opportunity, and we wish him well. But it's left a void, right? And now some things are not possible for the team. I'm trying to say this as delicately as possible because other people involved don't want to step up to take on those things, right? And he's having a real struggle right now with how do you balance the grace of understanding, and like sometimes things don't work out in your life, and then how do you fight for something that you want? I mean, like it's messy when we get disappointed when we've looked up to people. And we had a great conversation in our family about and Josh brought up, like, leaders are going to disappoint you. It doesn't mean you never trust people or never have role models again or look up to people. It's just that you recognize that people make decisions that affect you, and they don't always ask you if you're okay with it before they do it, and having this there's such a duality to it, like leaning in and having role models and bonding with people, following somebody and being enrolled and engaged with them, and then also recognizing that that won't last forever. Things are going to change at some point, and then I'm going to have to manage the disappointment that I feel having been let down, or the feelings of abandonment, or any number of things that can come from that. And so watching or having to not like hand our baggage on to our kids and being like, well, that's why I don't trust people, like that's not healthy, right? I don't want them to get that idea. We want to talk about it, but it's also like that you got to process your side of it and deal with your frustrations with leadership or indiscretions or things like that, and then make sure that you're speaking and helping develop those younger generations to not rebel against leadership or reject mentorship because they're afraid of getting too close, but to understand that nothing lasts forever. Like it changes, things change. And so that's like an interesting side of this that we're trying to navigate as a family, of how to encourage our kids. And I've lost the second angle that I was going to go with, so I'm going to leave it with that part.
Okay.
But, it's interesting.
I want to hear your perspective too on this, Mark.
Yeah. Well, it's changed to to some degree, and only some degree. I think I've been consistent in the people, like music artists.
Mm-hmm.
I really there was something about music when I was growing up that was more than alluring. I mean, it spoke to me, and I, I it was music was my counselor. I could call artists my counselors, my friends. Um, if what they wrote was what they thought, then they were heroes to me.
Mm.
They were brave and they were courageous. And so, for example, Ray Davies of the Kinks. To this day, everything about Ray I just love. He was, he was an icon of mine. He was, a friend. and I just admired him and probably idolized him. And as a as a person of faith, we're not supposed to idolize anyone, right? But certainly I can say I looked up to him because his music kept me going in my angst-ridden years. Listening to any number of Kinks songs filled me with life, gave me hope, and I think that is that's kind of the ticket.
Mm.
A hero is someone who gives life, saves life, um, gives second chances. Will snap you from peril, and that that is that that is what I want to do. That is what I want to be, that person. I'm not seeking heroic events necessarily that I'm inserted into, where my heroism has to be tested, but I'd like to be somebody who um, is there to help and serve. Uh, so look, looks like you got to say something.
No, I hear what you're saying, and I like, there seems to be, or what I hear you saying is like there's this difference between meeting, like the singer is meeting you in that emotional space and is providing a way through or mentoring you. Um,
Yeah.
and then there's these like physical heroes that could show up to, because the singer's not coming to your living room and like hanging out with you, but it feels like that, right? So there's like multiple ways that someone could impact your life. And when I was hearing you talk about the songs and relating to them, couldn't help but be curious about, was there a particular song that you heard on that album that really just kind of like burned in your mind and you're like, this is exactly what I needed? Do you remember a moment?
Oh God. Well, the first song that just came to my mind is um, "Everybody's a Hero,
Mm,
Everybody's a Star,
I like
Everyone's in
that.
show, no matter where you are."
Mm,
That that's that was it. Like, it was
permission.
him. Yeah, it was Ray reaching out to me and basically telling me, believe in yourself. You know, like, you're enough. And so many. Oh gosh, I it just every he 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 often sang about Hollywood and being a star, and yet like pulling back from all of that and saying it's all sort of a facade in many ways. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's you got the Klieg lights and you got makeup, and but behind all that is just common people trying to live life, and we're all kind of in the same struggle. And I think this is what woke me up last night, and why I've been struggling with this ever since, is that I really do believe that each one of us are heroes. Just choosing to live every day, choosing not to give up, and some days are obviously harder than others, but as optimistic and as positive as I can think I am about life and myself, and how appreciative and how much gratitude I have, it's still hard. Like, life is hard. I got thrown something just before I came on from my business partner, something we have to discuss and talk about, and it's like, really, we got to
What?
talk about that? Like, gosh, I thought everything was just so smooth, and it's gonna be fine, but it's hard because challenges come in and judgments come in. And go ahead, what are you gonna say, Jessica?
Well, I, me and a friend were discussing this the other day. Have we bought into the illusion that life is hard? Or is it just the conversation you have is going to be uncomfortable and we use are we using the word hard? Life's hard. Okay, but is it hard or is it uncomfortable? because the things you have to do necessarily aren't, it's not a hard thing to talk. Like, that's pretty easy, but it's uncomfortable to speak the truth. It's embarrassing sometimes, or maybe there's like other emotions behind generalized hard what we say. And if we could break that word down and be more articulate with what we mean, I think that's why we resonate with heroes, is because they seem to be able to say exactly what we're feeling, or they have been where we've been and they created a path to the other side, or through it. And you talk about the lyrics of that song, and I think you're right, like so right. Life does offer us lots of opportunity to adjust and adapt, and that in itself is heroic. Being able to speak the truth, to be able to overcome things and to do things. Everybody has that opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's construct a hero. We've deconstructed. We said what heroes aren't to some degree. What are they? Justin, we're going to put together the perfect human.
Okay.
Well,
Are we using like Marvel technology here, Marvel movie technology, or
No. This is just a blob of a person. So there's no cape, there's no muscles, there's no beautiful long locks and anything like that. No perfect cheekbones. No, I'm basically describing a mashup of you two right now. So
thanks, bro.
short of those things, short of the outside, which is, the heroism is within. What are three qualities that you would look for in a person before you would say, well, there's a hero right there because of this and this? Justin, give me three.
Honesty would be the first one for me.
Just honesty. Okay.
Somebody, when I say that, it's like there was a point I was ruminating on while you two were talking about some different things, and it's like I was actually asking myself the question: we put these people, we label somebody a hero in our lives, or collectively, even as a race, and then, and I touched on it earlier, but then they mess up, or we find out that they're not perfect, right? And then they fall from grace, so to speak. And that seems a little unfair for us to do that, because none of us are perfect. So I think when I say honesty, it's like, I guess honesty, authenticity, vulnerability, kind of all. If I could lump those into like one sort of category while we're building the hero. So it's like, hey, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna walk the talk, but then if I mess up, don't crucify me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like all the fingers that come in, and yeah.
Well, let me ask you that question, because I think that's what happens more times than not when someone gets exposed to either be opposite of what was presented about them before, or it's just there's something else in their character that now takes away from what they had done before. Don't you think a lot of the times when a flaw gets exposed, it's how people address that flaw, how they react? And when what I'm hearing you say, Justin, honesty or truth or integrity, authenticity, these things, those are things that should be present or a part of a person all the time, no matter what, including, because we're human, we do make mistakes. And when we do make a mistake, we own it and we say so. Too often, I think people, because of the perception that people have of them, they want to run from it, deny it, say it wasn't true. And so is that what you're saying? Or is there a part of that you were getting to, as far as if you're truthful, you're always truthful, and when something comes up, well, then be truthful about that too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what I mean. And it really, it's like on behalf of it's the hero or the person we're putting in that heroic role, right? To handle that with grace and be transparent about it. But then the big risk is for that people, and I think why a lot of people don't do it or they dodge it is then because everyone else is like, oh, judgment comes in super
Right.
hard.
Right.
So to me, that particular character of the hero is maybe one of the hardest ones I've seen stand the test of time with certain heroes, if you will, because they fall from grace. Like once they're exposed that they're imperfect, people a lot of times I've seen them turn their backs, on that particular leader or that hero.
Yeah.
Simon Sinek wrote a book called Leaders Eat Last. If you haven't read it, totally should read that book. And he talks about the crisis of integrity that everyone, like at some point, an organization will experience a crisis of integrity, or human beings do. And they have those moments where they choose less than what they're capable of. And he paints a picture of like multiple different scenarios of organizations that have had a crisis of integrity, and they've compromised themselves in one way or the other through micro decisions or one major decision. And then he's shown the difference with like what, to Justin's point of just coming out and saying, I lost my way. I want to get back on track. I want to do better. And here's what I learned from what happened. And here's how we cannot do that again, was the key to completely turning things around without sacrificing the bond and the community aspect of that. It's proven that people will follow someone, even if they don't like them, they'll follow someone who will be truthful with them, because even in the bad situations, they were at least honest about it, right? They'll follow them because they know where that person stands. But someone who's just says yes to everyone, or they are for everyone and they don't have a stand, they don't take a stand, that people don't follow that. They don't want to be involved in that. And, everybody's going to have those moments. I've certainly run into my fair share of authors I read and I'm like, yes, I love this. And then they make a lifestyle change, or they were maybe a book about marriage and then they get divorced. And I really love the book. And then everything they taught in the book is not really like happening in real life, or something is going amiss. And it's honestly that fear of doing the thing so well, or sharing the example, or living the life, has in some ways held me back, for fear of becoming blind to my own weaknesses and then therefore being my own destruction, right? And when I was thinking about publishing my book, I was confessing this fear. And I know how irrational it sounds, and I'm almost too nervous to even say it out loud because I don't want to get judged for it, because that still plays in my head. But I said to a friend, I was like, I just don't want to end up like being successful and missing the little things. Like, I don't want to get so big, or to write this book and like, lose track of reality, or miss something that was super important, and like think I'm managing my life all the while my slips showing, and I'm not really handling life, and things are happening that I'm going to look back and go, that was not worth the trade-off, And as every good friend does, she said, don't worry, I don't think you're going to be that big.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And it's so like, she had a grounding moment for me. Like, that's not going to happen. And she doesn't even remember saying it, but I very much felt it in the moment. And I was like, what? But that is something I think that people that are living and doing life, like there is, when we see people fall, we don't want to repeat the mistakes, but sometimes that can end up holding you back as well, for fear of doing that. And so there's just this awareness piece that we got to learn from it. We got to be honest about it. And then we have to look at what am I doing differently that proves that I'll have a different outcome than that, like that I'm not going to follow there.
That's a great point. I could go off on that, but I want to ask you, what would be a quality that you would put into the hero?
Integrity. I should have said that in the beginning.
That's
Yeah, I
okay.
read with the
Yeah.
quote, but it's integrity. And it's a
Great.
little bit to me like trust, but in more as the integrity of making the decision of that's integritous. Maybe that's admitting that you were wrong, or like there's always going to be integrity in the situation. So that would be something for me, the decision making part of that.
Yeah. Maybe just maybe that is the culmination of being a hero to me. I think I think that because if you're acting in integrity, then in any moment you're going to do the right thing. You're going to right. I mean, you're going to in integrity. If I have this straight, like if there's danger, if there's somebody, if there's a fire, and you see somebody in that fire, or you don't know if there's somebody in that fire, but you're going to go in to find out if there's somebody in that fire, you're acting in integrity because it is what instinctually it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Really is the right thing to do. Save. Um, in the same way, like being in integrity means to be in truth, to be in honesty, and that's with the good and the bad. Like it's if you if you blew it, you made a mistake, you know sinned, you confess it and you deal with whatever the repercussions are, and you don't try to deny it and to compound
Sure.
the offense or the sin by denying it or being defensive or trying to get out of it, but being in integrity and saying, yeah, and give me whatever I deserve, right?
Mhm.
Can we belabor this just a minute? Because
Yeah,
this is something I'm seeing like slipping a lot is uh, any number of quote unquote leadership. It seems like now the move is to
right.
spin the mistake.
Yeah,
And so you
exactly.
go in and you put an individual in a place of leadership in your mind or whatever, maybe collectively or whatever. And then instead of what this point, Jessica's driving home integrity, right? And you said, Simon, this is interesting to me because you said the psychology is Simon Sinek said that people will tend to follow people that admit to mistakes more, right?
Yeah.
But I'm seeing maybe I'm wrong here, but it feels like the masses are just, when people make a mistake, it's obvious, it's for the whole world to see. And they spin it entirely, deny, spin, whatever. And then people still, it's like our collective filter is getting like rusty or something. Because a lot of times these things happen. I'm like, wait a minute, didn't that individual just blatantly deny the thing that was blatantly proven? And I'm like, what is happening? You know what I mean? So
We have
I
a
want to get to your
collective mistrust, though, because anything can be misrepresented, misguided. Like even if something was blatantly proven, it could still be false based on a number of events. We just don't we live in a broken trust society. And in order to restore heroes and heroines, or to restore those relationships of people we can look up to and trust, we are going to have to start rebuilding the trust by having authentic, safe sharing without shame, for allowing people to be human beings. And if anything, we're looking at them as a way not to be, right? So we're always learning, always teaching, and acknowledging those things. But we have a broken, fragmented trust problem just systemically,
yeah.
even more, and that's created a distortion in how we connect with people.
Mark, in the third ingredient, I don't know. Do you have a third ingredient that you want to toss in? Because you said 3 ingredients to build the hero. Was it
It
3?
might have been too much in too little time, and I think ultimately we could maybe add a few other things, but to me, it does come down to that idea of being in integrity all the time. But do you have something you were going to add to it?
No, I tossed mine into the hat, and I
Yeah,
was
no,
curious if you had
I
an.
think because that's what I heard you say. That's what
Yeah.
I heard you say, Jessica. So I think for us, for this podcast, and for these 3 co-hosts, our conclusion is first and foremost, at least, to be a hero, you must be in integrity. And I would love to close by encouraging you, audience, those listening, to be the hero.
Hmm.
Uh, because I do believe all of us have it in us. Um, as I'm getting older, and the more my daily reflection about my intention of the day, my reflection on the day I just lived, often comes back to, was I in integrity? You know, I will be in integrity. I want to be present, and while being present, I want to be mindful of the people that I'm with, and I want to love them, and I want to care for them, and I want to love and care for myself in that process. And I think that that's the thing I want to teach my children, you know, and I want to be that example to the people around me.
Hmm.
Um, so, Justin, how is it that you're going to be a hero today or tomorrow morning when you wake up? Because it's nighttime where you're at. What are you
Hmm.
going to dream about tonight? How are you going to dream about being a hero?
For me, I'm just going to try to have really authentic interactions with everybody I come across tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's going to be my goal, is to be present and authentic and kind.
Yeah.
That's my goal for tomorrow.
That's pretty heroic. I don't think there's
Okay.
enough people living in that space. I really don't. I don't think there's enough people willing to be vulnerable about who they really are. And you are brave. There's a great Go ahead, Jessica. How about you? How are you going to today
When I
with
was
Nick
listening,
Simo?
when I was
Go ahead.
listening to you talk, I was just thinking about our closing, how we close out every show. And this is a show about people and the way we see the world and the decisions we make that shape our lives.
Yep.
And so I'm going to make decisions that align with the values that I have: honesty, integrity, people, those kind of things, is acting in alignment, because every decision shapes your life. It's not just one, it's all of them.
Beautiful.
Mark,
Um, yeah, I
what are
was
you going to
gonna.
do today?
There's a quote. There's a quote from my favorite book, my new favorite book. It's called "The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse" by Charles Mackesy. And in it, and it's a beautiful. There was a documentary about it. There's a and there was a narrative, like cartoon, about the book, and in it, um, it is said that the bravest thing that anyone could could do is to say help.
Mm-hmm.
When
Wow.
somebody says help, that is the bravest thing that someone could do, and I think it's heroic because it's saying,
Wow.
I'm sinking. I
Mm-hmm.
am I'm falling and I don't know where. I'm stuck. I'm trapped. Help. And um, that gives others around you an opportunity to swoop in and be a hero. But I think it makes you the hero too in that case. It's certainly brave. It's certainly courageous. And I want to leave that to the listeners of, if you're stuck or you don't know where to go or what to do, please say help. I
Mm.
think one of the bravest things
Amen.
that do, this is another thing that's come to me recently, is I've really gotten back into looking at some 12-step books. Um, I went to OA for a time or two, way back when, and I've been reading devotionals from those. And I think those 12-step programs are really amazing. So I think that people that are in recovery and going to AA, OA, any of those 12-step programs, you're brave and courageous, and you would be brave and courageous to go to that because you're saying help. I need help. And so, yeah, for me today, I'm going to say help. I'm going to say help when I need it. And I think there's a place or two where I need to say help. I'm stuck on a solution. I'm stuck on getting to a solution. There's a problem or two that I need help with, and I'm going to say it. And that's sometimes smacks in the face of wanting to be invincible, and I got it all together.
About that, help! I need somebody.
Oh, I
there
thought.
We go.
Okay,
there we go.
Everyone. We are the Big Ideas Podcast. I want to get straight, so I'm trying to find my closing here. Anybody? We are the Big Ideas Podcast, and
yes,
hello.
yes, it's all these actions going on.
I can't even.
Mark, you were just saved by the bell, bro.
And it wasn't me. Who was that?
It was me. That
Okay.
Emergency call through. Jeez. Okay.
That's fantastic. I love that. I love it. All right.
Somebody was needing help.
We're the Big Ideas Podcast, podcast about people, perspective, and the ideas that shape who we're becoming. If this episode sparks something for you, stay curious. We'll see you next time. Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Get your phone call there, Jessica.